Hello guys, it is Shivam here. Welcome to our new video. We are building a Flutter app with Firebase that covers everything. Sign in, sign up, Google, Apple. If you are ready to simplify authentication in your app, stick around. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button. So now let's get started. But before moving to the code, let me show you what all things we learn on today's video and how your app will look like at the end of this video. So here you can see the signing and sign up page where I will first teach you how to add the email authentication, then Google, then Apple authentication. So we will first move with a sign up page and will create an account and can directly sign up in the app by using the new account. So in the name, I will write Shivam Gupta. Now at the email, I will write some random email. So I will write shivam456@gmail.com and the password. Now I'll click in the sign up button. So as you can see, we have registered successfully and directly move inside the app, which is our home page. Now let's see what things have been shown in the Firebase. So when I click to the user's authentication, then here you can see the email that I have just used to sign up in the app. So you can see that how brilliantly our sign up page is working. Now let's move to the login page and I will use our same account that I have just used to sign up in the app. So I will use our same email ID and the password. Now I'll click on the signing button. So we have used the same account and we have directly moved inside the app. So our signing page is also working brilliantly. Now for an instance, if you have forgot the password for this email ID, then you will click in the forgot password text and it will directly take you to the password recovery screen where you need to add the email ID again for the password that you have forgotten. Now click in the send email button and password reset email has been sent. Now let's check to the email where I have got the link to change the password for this email ID. And here I have got the link in my email ID to change the password. So when I click to this link, it will directly take me to the next screen where it is telling me to reset your password and enter the new password here. So after entering the new password, I will click in the save button and password has been changed and now I can sign in with my new password again and can directly move inside the app. So our forget password is also done and our email authentication part is done. Now let's move to the Google authentication. Now in the Google authentication, I have seen many videos in the YouTube, but the most of the videos doesn't teach the viewers how to get the user data from the Google authentication and upload it to the Firestore database. So I have brought a new idea to you to upload the user data to the Firestore database by using the Google authentication. I will just not show you how to use a Google authentication, but I will also show you how to use a Google authentication and upload the user details to the Firestore database by using just a Google account of that user, because this may help you to create a big apps like e-commerce apps, dating apps, etc. So when I click to the Google image, then it shows my Google account here. Now I'll select my Google account and we have successfully used a Google account to authenticate in the app and we have directly moved inside the app. But let's move to the Firebase and let me show you what all things have been uploaded in the Firebase. So in the authentication, you can see that I have used just this email ID to authenticate in the app. Now in the Firestore database, Here you can see the user collection with the specific doc ID and the email I have used with the specific ID, the image of the user and the name of the user. By using just a Google account, I will show you how to upload the user detail to the Firestore database. So our Google authentication part is also done. Now let's move to the our final authentication, which is Apple authentication. Now when I click to the Apple image, then it is showing me sign in with Apple with the Apple ID. Now click on continue and now continue with the password, and here is my Apple ID, and you can use your password for the Apple ID you have used and click in the signing button, and it will directly help you to authenticate with your Apple ID account. So I've just shown you what you will get at the end of this video, and I will teach you each and every step to how to add the sign up page, Google and Apple authentication in the Flutter app by using Firebase. But I have a small request from you. Please do not skip any of the process from this video, because each and every step is necessary in this video to get the result that I have just shown you now. I will explain you each and every line of the code to make it very easy for you to implement the authentication in your app. Also, do not copy the code directly from the source code. Better, I will suggest you that to follow along with me, and you can code with me and can watch the complete explanation of this video and can understand what all things I have wrote in this code. So now let's get started. So first we'll move with the email authentication, then we'll move with Google and Apple authentication. So let's move to the Firebase and we'll create a project name authentication app. Now we'll click on continue, again on continue. Now use default account for Firebase, click on create project. So as you can see, Firebase is creating your project. So wait for a few seconds. Now click on continue and we will directly move to the Firebase. So here you can see that we can connect the iOS, Android and web app through Firebase. So first I will connect the iOS app, then we'll move with the Android app. So I'll click on the iOS app here and we need to add the Apple bundle ID. So we'll move to the X code. Now click on runner, signing in capabilities, and copy the bundle identifier from here and we'll paste it in the Apple bundle ID. Now click on register app. So wait for a few seconds. Now download the Google service -info.plist file from here and we'll paste it inside the Xcode. Now make sure it should be Google service -info.plist file. If anything is written rather than this, then make sure you edit them. Now paste it below the info, click on finish. So it is done. Now let's move to the Firebase again. Click on next, again on next, next. Now continue to the console. So as you can see, we have successfully added the iOS app here. Now let's move to the Android. So here we need the Android package name. So let's move to the Android app build.gdl file. Now here move to the application ID and paste it inside the Android package name. Now click on register app and download the Google service.json file from here, because we need to paste it in the VS Code. So also make sure that it should be also in Google-services.json file. Now paste it on Android app folder. Now click on next and copy the plugin from here and we'll paste it inside the Android build.gdl file in the class path. Now paste the same line here inside the class path, and we need to change some of the code to make it for the class path. And also one more thing I want to tell you that if you are pasting this plugin in the class path, make sure that what all things I am writing inside the class path, it should be exact. If it is not, then you might not get the result of installing the app in the Android successfully. So do not forget any colon dot from here. So it is done. Now let's move and we'll copy the ID from here, and we need to go to the Android app build.github file and we'll paste it in the plugin, and we need to change some of the line of the code. Now we need to copy the dependency from here and we'll paste it inside the dependencies. Now another line. Now click on next, continue to the console. So as you can see, we have successfully added the iOS and Android app here. Now let's move to the authentication and click on get started button. Now we will enable the email and password section from here, and as you can see the email password has been enabled. Now let's move to the Pub.dev because we need to copy some of the packages from here and we'll paste it inside the pub.xml file. So our first package name is Firebase Core because it can help us to connect the Firebase with our Flutter app. So we'll copy the dependency from here and we'll paste it inside the pub.xml file. Now our second package will be Firebase Auth, which will help us to add the authentication in our app. Now click on installing again and we'll copy the same dependency and paste it inside the pub.xml file. Now run all the packages. Now let's move to the main.dart file, and here I need to add the two lines of code to enable the Firebase in our app. So I will write widgets flutter binding dot ensure initialized and await Firebase dot initialize app. So we have successfully connected the Firebase with our app, and now let's move to the signup.dart page, and here I will create a three string name, email and password because I want to store the data of the each text field that the user type on these three text field. So I will create a string name, email, password and name here. Now I'll write text editing controller, name controller. The reason for writing text editing controller is because I want to manage the text that user enter on this text field. So to manage the text inside the text field, we need to use a text editing controller for each text field. So I will create a text editing controller for name, password and email, and we'll go to the text field and we'll write controller and we'll pass each controller that I have just mentioned above. So it is done. Now I will write final form key, global key, form state. So let me explain you why I've used a global key here. Because the global key can help us to validate each of the text field here by wrapping up the column with a form widget here, and in the key will pass a form key that I have just mentioned above. Now we'll rename the text field to text form field because as I've told you, I will use a validator in each text form field to validate the case if the user have entered the value on this text field are null or empty. If the value is null or empty, then we'll show the each case here like for the name. If the value is null or empty, then we'll show the user that please enter the name in this text field. Now we'll return null if everything is true. Now we need to copy the each validator and rename the text field to text form field, and we'll change the each case for entering the mail and password. So it is done. Now I will create a function name registration which will be called whenever the user will click on the sign up button, and it will sign up in the app by using Firebase with the help of email, password and name that I will just enter on this text field. So let me add the few lines of the code inside the registration function. Then I will explain you what all things I have wrote in the registration function and how all the complete process will work in the registration function. So I've wrote the complete code in the registration function, and as you can see, if the password is not equals to null, then we'll move to the authentication part, and we can pass another case like if name controller.text is not equals to space, and same for the mail controller.text. We are passing this statement is because I want that registration function will be called once the user enter all the three things in this text field. Now after filling this text field, there is a function name create user with email and password with a email and password that we'll just enter on this text field. Now we'll use a snack bar to show that user have registered successfully, and will directly move the user to the home page of the app. For the case if there is a weak password, then we'll show the password provided is too weak, and if the email will be already in use, then we'll show that account already exists. It is very easy to understand each line of code that I have just wrote in the registration function because I want to make very simple for the users to understand the authentication in our app. Now let's move to the sign up button, and we'll wrap up with a gesture detector. I have used a form key in if condition because I want to validate that if the user have entered all the three things like name, email and password on this three text field, then we'll move to the set state, and in the set state we'll rename all the string that I have just assigned above. So in the email we'll pass a mail controller.text where the user have entered the email, and same for the name and the password. Now after this, we'll call a registration function here. Now let's move to the terminal and I will write flutter clean and will run a flutter run to run the app in the emulator. So our app has launched successfully. Now I will show you how to sign up in the app. So in the name I will write Shivam Gupta. Now in the email I will write Shivam6772 at the rate gmail.com sign up button, and as you can see we have directly moved to the home page of the app and we have registered successfully. Now let's move to the Firebase and I will show you an email where we have just used to sign up in the app. I will move to the users and here you can see the email that I have just used to sign up in the app. So as you can see that how brilliantly our sign up page is working and we can successfully sign up in the app. So if you have learned how to sign up in the app, do not forget to hit that like button. Now let's move to the login page and we'll make the complete function for the login screen. Now in the string, I will write email and password that I have just wrote for the sign up page, though I'm trying my best to make as simple as I can because there might be many of the viewers might be learning the authentication from the Firebase for the first time. So I will make it very easy for the viewers to learn each and every line of code that I will write on VS Code. So I will write same text editing controller to handle the text field and same global key to handle the each validator that I will write on this text field. Now I will again wrap up the column widget with a form widget and in the key will pass the form key and will use our text form field and in the controller will pass the same mail controller and will use a same validator for text form field and here I will write please enter email and in the controller will pass the same password controller. Now we'll create a user login function which will be called whenever the user will click on the signing button here. So let me write the few lines of the code inside the user login function and then I will explain you what all things I have wrote in the user login function. So I've wrote the complete code for the user login function. Now, if you are following along with me and also doing coding from the scratch with me, then you can pause a video and can write the complete code that I've just wrote in the user login function. Then you can play the video and can see the complete explanation of the user login function. So I assume that you have wrote the complete code in the user login function. Now here I have wrote a Firebase auth.instance signing with email and password, and we are passing the email and password that we have just entered on this text field. And if the case that if the user have not found for the email that the user just entered here, then will show a no user found for that email. And if the user enter a wrong password, then will show the wrong password provided by the user. And we'll wrap up with a gesture detector. And in the on tab, we'll pass the same validator case that we have done in the sign up page. As I told you before, I will make it very easy for the viewers who are watching this authentication for the first time, because everything will be similar what we have done for the sign up page, and we need to do not much more anything extra rather than writing the same code again and again. Now we'll again pass a user login function. So it is done. Now let's move to the terminal and we'll hot restart it again. Now here, now here I will create a account and I will use a same email to log in the app. So first I will create a new account by using the sign up page. So in the name I will write Shivam Gupta and will use a email 234@gmail.com and the password, and will click on the sign up button. So we have registered successfully. Now let's move to the login page and I will use a same email and password to log in the app. So I will use the same email. Now we'll click on the signing button, and as you can see our login page is working brilliantly and we have directly moved to the home page of the app, and we have also logged in with a email account that I have just used to sign up in the app. Now for an instance, I forgot the password for the email that I have just wrote here. Then we'll move to the forgot password text and we'll click to that and we'll move to the forgot password screen and can change the password for this email. So here I have wrote the complete UI for a forgot password.dart file, but we have not wrote a function for a forgot password screen. So I will move to the login page here and will wrap up with a gesture detector and will directly push the user to the forgot password screen to change the password for the email that they have forgotten the password. Now we'll hot reload it again, and here you can see the password recovery screen, and here I will use our same email that I have forgotten a password, and I will click on the send email button and it will directly send me a link to my email that I have just entered here, and from that link I can change the password for the Firebase easily. Now I have wrote just a UI here, but we have not wrote a single function for the forgot password screen. So let's move and write string email. I've used a single string here because as you can see there is only a single text field, and we'll use our same text editing controller. Now we'll use our same form key. Now we'll do the same process what we have done in the sign up and login page, like writing a controllers, writing a validator to validate each text field. Now we'll create a function name reset password. So again let me write all the code inside the reset password screen, then you can pause this video and can write all the code that I've just wrote inside the reset password screen, and then you can listen the complete explanation after writing the complete code for the forgot password function. So here you can see that I've created a function name send password reset email in the Firebase auth, and we are passing the email of the password that we have just forgot, and if the user have is not found, then we'll show that the user have not found for this email. Now let's move to the gesture director, and in the gesture director I will use a same validator case by using the form key. So now let hot restart it again. So for an example, I forgot this email password, then I will directly click on the forgot password text and it will take me to the forgot password screen, and here I will write a same email that I've just wrote in the login page. I will click on the send email button. So as you can see, password reset email has been set. Now let's check the email and what link I have got in my email. So here you can see at my email, here I've got the link from the Firebase to reset my password. So when I will click to the link, then it will take me to the another screen where it is shows me to reset your password and enter a new password here. Now I'll enter the new password and will click on save, and as you can see password has been changed and we can sign in with a new password again. So our forgot password screen is done and it is also working brilliantly. Now our next authentication is Google authentication. So let's move to the Pub.dev, and here I will write a package name Google sign in. We'll need this package to add the Google authentication in our Flutter app. So we'll copy the same dependency and we'll paste it inside the pub.yaml file. Though I have shown you in the starting of the video that after sign in with the Google, we will also upload the user data to the cloud Firestore, because I want to also show you that how to upload the data to the cloud Firestore and get the user detail by the Google authentication. So I will use a cloud Firestore package to upload the data to the cloud Firestore database and will paste it inside the pub.yaml file. Now let's move to the Firestore database, and we need to enable the Firestore to upload the user data to the Firestore. Now click on the create database. Now click on next, click on enable button. So as you can see that Cloud Firestore is setting up the security rules. Now let's move to the rules, and we need to change the false to true. I have a small request from you. Please do not skip this step from this video, because it is very necessary to change the security rules from here, because if you miss this step then you can't upload the data to the cloud Firestore. Now in the lib folder I will create a new folder name services here, and in the services folder I will create a new file auth.dart where we'll add a Google authentication function. So I will create a class name auth methods, and in the auth methods I will write final, and we'll use a Firebase auth equals to Firebase auth.instance, and we'll use a get current user function to know that if the user have been authenticated in the app by using any of the function like Google authentication, Apple authentication or email authentication. It will be very necessary in the future. I will show you where this function will be help us to get the authentication from the user. So here I will create a function named signing with Google. Now build context async. So let me add the few lines of the code inside the signing with Google. Then I will explain you what all things I will just wrote in the signing with Google function. So I've just wrote a Firebase auth instance. Now we have also created a Google signing function to sign in with a Google, and in the user credential we are passing the result with a Firebase auth method, and in the user details I will write result dot user. Basically user details will help us to get the user detail from the authentication by Google. Now in the if condition, we'll check that, and if the result is not equals to null, then we'll use a map string method. The reason for using the map string dynamic is because I want to pass a string then a dynamic in the map. Basically in the string we can pass any string like name, password, username, etc. And by using the dynamic you can pass boolean character, text, integer, or anything. Now in the email, I will get the user email, so I'll write user details dot email to get the email of the user, and for the name I will use dot display name, and for the image of the user we'll use a user details dot photo URL. Though the main motive of uploading the user data to the Firestore database is what, because I want to show my viewers and subscribers that how to use a Google authentication, and by using the Google authentication how to get the user details and upload the user data to the Firestore database by using user details function here. And you can see that by just a Google authentication we can get a user email, name and image from the Google ID that the user will provide to authenticate in the app. Now in the services folder, I will create a new file name database.dart, where I will show you how to upload the data to the Firestore database, and here I will create a class named database methods, and in the database methods write a function name add user will, where we'll first pass the user ID, which will be the unique ID that I have just shown you by the user details.uid, and in the map we'll pass a user info map, so Firebase Firestore dot instance, and we'll give the collection name here which will be the users, and in the users collection we'll pass a specific doc id, and we'll use a dot set method to upload the user info map. So now let's move, and I will write await database methods dot add user, and will pass a unique ID of the user, and we'll use a dot then method to directly push the user to the home page after sign in with the Google. So I have wrote the complete function for the sign in with Google. Now let's move to the login.dart file here, and we'll wrap up the image with a gesture director, and in the gesture director we'll write on methods dot sign in with Google, to directly call the function, we'll write auth methods dot signing with Google to call the function that I have just stored in the auth methods. But we need to also enable the authentication from the Firebase. So in the signing methods, we need to add the new provider and enable the Google authentication, and we can pass any support email. Now click on save. Now, if you are using the Android device to test the app in the Android, then you need to add the SHA1 key in the Firebase. And if you are using the iOS, then you need to add some scheme in the Xcode. So let's move to the Xcode. Now go to the Google service info file, and here you can't see the client ID, which is one of the main thing to add the link. Now I have seen that many of the subscriber or viewers telling me that they didn't able to get the client ID to add the link in the scheme so that they can enable the Google authentication in the iOS. Now, the reason for not getting the client ID is because, as you can see that I have just added the Google service info, and here you can't see the client ID. Now, let me show how I will add the client ID to the Google service.info file. So here in the iOS, you need to go and download the Google service.info.plist file again, because we have just enabled the Google authentication from the Firebase. So we need to download the Google service info.plist file again, and we need to replace with the file that we have just pasted below the info. So when I'll click to the new Google service info, you can see the reverse client ID to add the link in the Google authentication. Now I'll delete the older one. Now here you can see the reverse client ID. It is one of the main link to add in the scheme folder, because if you don't do this process, then you might not add the Google authentication in the iOS emulator or iPhone devices. Now go to the info, and here in the URL types, you need to click on the add button and paste that link in the URL schemes, and it is done. So we have completely set up the Google authentication for both Android and iOS. Now let's move and test the Google authentication. So we'll move to the terminal and we'll write flutter clean and flutter run to run the app. So our app has launched successfully. Now when I click to the Google image, then it will help us to authenticate with the Google. Now I'll click one of my Google account and will directly move to the home page, and we have successfully authenticated with the Google. Now let's move to the Firebase, and I will show you what all details have been uploaded to the Firestore database. Now let's refresh this page, and you can see the user collection with a specific doc ID and the email that I've just used to authenticate with the help of my Google account. Now here you can see my name, image, etc. And let's move to the authentication, and here you can see that I have just authenticated with a Google account. So our Google authentication is working brilliantly, and you have just learned how to use a Google authentication and can also upload the user data to the Firestore database. And still you didn't like this video, then I have a small request from you, because I am giving my best to explain you in more best possible way. So do not forget to hit that like button, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button too, because I will be uploading this type of content more on this channel. So do not miss any of the videos from this channel. So now let's move to the our last and final authentication, which is Apple authentication. So to integrate the Apple authentication in our Flutter app, first we need to add the package in our pub.yaml file. So let's move to the Pub.dev and I will search Apple sign in here, and we need to select the Apple sign in package and go on installing, copy this package from here and paste it inside the pub.yaml file. Now run the package. Now let's move to the auth.dart, and in the auth.dart file I will create a function named sign in with Apple, which will be called when the user will click on this Apple image, or if they want to sign in with the Apple. So let me write a few lines of the code in the sign in with Apple function, and then I will explain you what all things I have wrote in the sign in with Apple function. So I wrote the complete code in the sign in with Apple function. Now you can pause a video for a minute or more to write all the code that I have just wrote in the sign in with Apple function, and then you can hear the explanation that I will just give you now. So I hope that you have wrote a complete code. Now here come our main function, that if the full name, so in the full name text we are passing the app ID credential and getting the full name of the user. And if the user full name is not null and given name is not null, then we'll display that name to the Firebase user, and we'll pass this error, like if the error authorization denied, then we'll pass the message, and if it is cancelled, then we'll show that error aborted by the user, and will show the message in the terminal, because if the user will click to the sign in with Apple function, and if there will be any error, then it will show that why this error is coming, if the authorization status is cancelled or it is showing some error. But let's move to the Xcode, and we need to add the sign in with Apple function in our signing and capabilities. So let's move to the signing and capabilities and click in capability and see for sign in with Apple and double click. So as you can see, sign in with Apple has been added to the Xcode. Now let's move to the login page again, and we'll wrap up with a gesture director, and in the gesture director we'll write auth methods dot sign in with Apple. So it is done. Now let's move to the terminal and we'll write flutter clean, then flutter run command to run the app in our emulator. So our app has launched successfully. Now let's test the Apple authentication here. So when I click to the Apple image, then it directly shows me the sign in with Apple with a Apple ID. Now click on continue, and this is my Apple ID. Now I'll click on continue with password, and here you can enter the password for the Apple ID you have and can click on in the sign in with button, and can directly move inside the app by using the Apple Authentication. So our Apple Authentication part is also done. So on our today's video, I have teach you how to add the email Google and Apple Authentication with the help of Firebase. Though I have tried my best to explain you in best possible way and make it very easy for the viewers who are learning authentication for the first time. But I have a small request from you. Please do not forget to hit that like button and also do not forget to hit that subscribe button so that you won't miss out on any of the upcoming videos and the amazing content we upload on this channel. Until then, keep coding, keep having fun. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.